Morocco have become the first African nation to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, but three other countries have positioned themselves where they're quite clearly on the verge of qualifying just in the next match day. We're going to recap all the action from match day 7 and more coming up next on the African Football Report. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the African Football Report on the African Five-A-Side podcast. I'm Maher Mezahi. I'm your host. And as always, this is brought to you by africasacountry.com. We are still on safari at africasacountry.com, although I do believe we are coming back from our publishing break on Monday. So starting from Monday, and I think I said that last week, but starting from Monday, we'll have fresh articles up on the website. So please go check that out after the weekend. Also, if anybody's in Algeria that's watching this, we are having one of our managing editor, Boyma Tucker, made a film called After Oil that was accepted into the Bijaya Film Festival. So it'll be screened actually tomorrow on Sunday. So if you're watching this on Saturday, September the 6th, it's going to be on September the 7th in Bijaya. So if anybody's in Algeria, in Bijaya, please come out. I should be there as well. I think it's a very important film that everybody needs to see. And yeah, let's talk about the World Cup qualifiers. I watched 8 matches over the last 3 days. 8 full matches, all 90 minutes of 8 matches. And then I watched bits of 3 other matches. So in total, I've watched about 11 matches. My brain feels like it's fried, but I really wanted to make sure that I was diligent and thorough in my analysis, particularly because, this is such an important period in relation to the AFCON. Yes, these are obviously extremely important matches for the World Cup, the crucial matches for the World Cup, but I'm also watching these matches with the idea of informing myself about the AFCON, which is, again, my favorite thing in the world, really, especially from a professional standpoint. Nothing beats the African Cup of Nations. So yeah, one of the things, just a quick note before we start going match by match, that I sort of noticed was that as I was watching these matches, I was watching them in quantity. Oftentimes I was watching at 1.5 speeds or 1.75 speeds. Just like the Ivory Coast match, I watched like that. The Egypt Ethiopia match, I watched like that as well. It helps me, in my opinion, notice macro trends a little easier. But I do miss at times like noticing little nuances, little details, personal stories. Like, for example, Yusuf Atal was playing in Tizi Ouzou, which was, that's like his hometown. Hamza Egemen, same thing, from Rabat, playing in Rabat. Like, I didn't really pay attention to see, like, look at the little creases on his face. Is it, an emotional match for him or not? These are the things that you sort of miss out if you don't immerse yourself and fully, watch the match. Usually we're on our phones or like I'm speeding it up, and I don't know if I'm going to continue doing that in the future because I'm sometimes you don't enjoy the football as much, but this was all in his head. Let's talk about the matches itself. The first match that was played was Chad versus Ghana. I watched the first half of this match. So this is one of the 3 matches that I didn't watch in full. I think I had predicted that Ghana would take care of business against Chad. I underestimated Chad here for a few reasons. Number one, I forgot that the coach, Raoul Savoy, who's a guest on our podcast last year when he was the coach of Central African Republic, he's somebody that, has been in African football for the better part of, I think, 2 decades now. Somebody that's very experienced, that wouldn't be impressed in big matches like this. And so I didn't know he was there. If I had known that he had been appointed, that would have made me hesitate a little bit. He's a very experienced coach that's used to these kind of matches. The other thing is that Chad were playing in a brand new stadium. One of 2 countries that inaugurated a stadium yesterday or over the last 2-3 days, them in Morocco. Their stadium is called the Stade Olympique Maréchal Idriss Déby. So Olympic Stadium of the Field Marshal, or the Marshal Idriss Déby, former president of Chad, who was, I believe, killed in combat just a few years ago. He was the one that, took the decision to build the stadium. I believe it was one of those, Chinese constructions, as you find, for a lot of different infrastructure all across the continent. So it's been 6 years in the making. They finally completed construction, and it was packed for the occasion because, I don't think we don't have a stadium like this in the Sahel. This is the first of its kind in Chad. So I think people are proud of seeing, such a new modern stadium. It packed out, I think it was, how many people? I think it was 30,000 people, something like that, but it was full. And so these are the kinds of things that, if you're Ghana, you're thinking to yourself, we couldn't have played Chad away from home, in match day 4, 3, 2, 1, where, this wouldn't have been as much of a high stakes fixture. Like, we had to play them now, when they're inaugurating a new stadium, when they have a brand new coach. So we underestimated the difficulty, I think, a little bit for the Ghana Black Stars. Nonetheless, I start watching the match, and Ghana looks superior in the first 10 minutes. I've hyped up their front line, and I thought, performed pretty well. Jordan Ayew, Mohamed Kudus in particular. Antoine Semenyo, I think, played well, but was a little bit wasteful, either when he was dribbling and then crossed it often too powerfully, too far, or even he had two or three chances in the first half where he found himself in on goal on his left foot, to be fair, and he missed the target, I think, on the 3 occasions. So yeah, I liked how Ghana looked early on. Kudus was dropping, and he had freedom to move wherever he wants, really. The only thing that sort of worried me from the first 10 to 15 minutes was I'm looking at that double pivot of Salis Abdul Samed and Elisha Owusu, and I'm thinking to myself, these guys, they're not really good at progressing the ball up the pitch, particularly Abdul Salis. I mean, but both of them. It's rare that, they would receive the ball from defense, immediately churn and play the ball vertically. And that's where you miss Thomas Partey. I don't understand. I haven't read the news. I don't understand why he wasn't playing. I'm assuming it's a match fitness thing. But obviously one of your most experienced players, one of your best players, in a position where you need him the most, didn't play against Chad. And I think that's something that maybe Ghanaian fans will be criticizing Otoado for. In the 17th minute, though, they score. And it's Iñaki Williams. He's hugging the touchline. Mohamed Kudus makes the run, I think, in the half space beyond the Chad defenders. He receives the ball from Iñaki Williams, and he's one-on-one with a defender. Freezes him with a few body feints, gets down the byline, puts in a low cross, and Jordan Ayew is all alone. I mean, the right fullback for Chad was completely sleeping. He had no idea that Jordan Ayew was behind him. So he goes in, and it's a tap in. It's an easy goal for Jordan Ayew, who, by the way, his 6th goal and 4 assists, 6 goals and 4 assists, and with 10 goal contributions in these World Cup qualifiers. I think tied with Mohamed Salah and Mohamed Amin Amoura for the best or the most goal contributions in these World Cup qualifiers. So credit to Jordan Ayew, who I thought was pretty good again on Thursday. Other than that, I thought Ghana were doing some decent things, like when the ball was on the left side of the pitch, the 19-year-old right back, Caleb Urenchi, he was sort of inverting into a defensive midfield role at times, which makes the pitch a little more narrow, but gives you an extra line of passing, helps you matriculate the ball up the pitch. I like how Iñaki and Kudus were sort of exchanging positions. Iñaki was mostly staying wide, but sometimes Kudus would get wide and Iñaki would play in a more habitual forward role. And then in the 24th minute and the 45th minute is, as I mentioned, Jordan Ayew plays Antoine Semenyo in on both occasions, 24th minute and the 45th minute. And especially in the 45th minute, it's beautiful footwork. He goes outside of the foot, inside of the foot, almost a no-look pass this way. Semenyo's timed the run perfectly. It's on his left foot, blazes it over. I think both times. The first one was actually offside in the 24th minute. The 45th minute wasn't offside. And it's one of those where, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Antoine Semenyo's social media, but he released a video in the offseason where he was working on finishing, and it looked really impressive. And even in the Premier League, you think to yourself, oh man, this guy's been really working on his finishing, left foot, right foot, different angles in front of the goal. If he has a chance, he's going to be able to put it at least on target, if not score. And he gets occasions like this, and he misses. So, I don't need to tell you guys what happens. I believe, Chad equalizes late in the match, and Ghana dropped 2 points. Although, to be fair to them, Comoros, who were behind them in the group, lose pretty handily as well to Mali, a match we're going to talk about. So they remain in the lead of their group, Group H or I believe. And my overall, so I'm breaking down that match action and then the lessons. What did we learn? I think we learned that the front line is still in good form and did good work. Just needed another goal, another dagger. They couldn't get it, but other than that, I thought they did really well. So Semenyo, I'm going to put it on him because he should have scored. The other thing is, you need Partey in midfield to progress the ball up the pitch, but I'm still not sure. Like, even Salis and Elisha Owusu have the energy, they're not really destroyers. Like, basically, these midfielders are too bland. I miss, like Ghana is known for its central midfielders from the mid 2000s to 2015. Think about like the Muntaris, think about Michael Essien, of course. Um, we miss even like Anthony Anna, like we miss a lot of these, very good Ghanaian midfielders. Um, and so yeah, that's a little bit of a shame that we don't really have players like that anymore from Ghana. I just think the mid central midfielders are a little bit too bland. But if that is the case, please play Thomas Partey. I've also seen some criticism from Ghanaian supporters that Otto Addo and Ghana don't have a killer mentality away from home that a team like Ghana should, right? Ghana's one of the top 5 teams in African football history. So a team like that should have a killer mentality away from home. Yeah, these are the sort of lessons that we could take away from it. Now, the most important thing is that they host Mali, who's behind them in the group, in a few days' time. So Ghana has to win that match. If they win that match, they've pretty much guaranteed their place at the World Cup, maybe mathematically, actually. If they don't, and if Mali wins away from home in Ghana, this group is blown wide open. So put a little bit of pressure on themselves by not winning the match, but still in an okay position. The next match I watched was Algeria versus Botswana. Algeria wins this match 3-1. They're playing in Tizi Ouzou for the second straight World Cup qualifier. And coming into this match, I think the mentality from Algerian supporters was, okay, Vladimir Petkovic, show me something. In March, when the team had to play against Mozambique at home, they were very, very impressive to fend off at the time the team that was neck and neck with them in the standings. And then in the summer, they played that friendly match against Sweden where they looked horrible against Sweden's C team. It was Algeria's A team versus Sweden's C team. So here it's like, okay, Petkovic, you've been in the job now for about a year's time, more than a year, I think, a year and a half. You came in with, to be fair, a very toxic situation. Jamal Belmadi, is he going to resign? Is he not going to resign? The supporters and the media was split. It's a pro and anti Jamal Belmadi. So it's not an easy place to come in. So he comes in, he uses a bunch of calls up a bunch of new players, not new players, really, players that were frozen out by the old coach, brings them back in, players like Yassine Benzia, things like that. Then he reintegrates some of the older guard, Yusuf Belaili, Riyad Mahrez, and it's like, okay, I'm just waiting to see what is your team. And I think we kind of know what it is now, but he still hasn't managed to solve the 3 problems that he came into this job with. Number 1, who is going to be your center half combination? I think he thinks it's Issa Mandi, Rami Ben Sabani. I don't think that's solid enough. Number 2, who's going to be your midfield 3? He still, I don't think, has any idea of who that's going to be. And to be fair to him, some of the players have been very inconsistent or injury prone, like Ismail Ben Nasser. Hisham Boudawi has been injury prone at times. Rami Zarouki as well. And the other thing is, can you fix Algeria's problem, like defensive problems in general, but particularly defending set pieces? And he hasn't done that as well. So let's talk about the match. By the 25th minute, Algeria are dominating possession, and all of their chances are coming through crosses or set pieces. When I say crosses, it's mostly like runs in behind the Botswana defense and cutbacks. In the 33rd minute, we score a goal. Rami Ben Sabani picks up the ball quite far from the goal, actually, puts in a cross. And Mohamed Amin Amoura, who has been the star of this Algerian national team since the last AFCON finished, he jumps like it's a Cristiano Ronaldo leap. Jumps way over his defender. The defender is Moshe Gaulawe, sorry, from Botswana. Mohamed Amin Amoura is, I think, 1 meter 65 centimeters. The defender was 1 meter 85 centimeters. So he has 20 centimeters less on him. He completely outjumps him. Huge leap. It looked like a 40-inch vertical and a beautiful header, and he puts Algeria ahead. And thinking to yourself, good, 30 minutes have passed. We have our goal. This could be another cruise, another walk in the park. We're on cruise control. And immediately after, they did the thing that I like that Algeria does is if Algeria scores, and now that they know the opposing team has to come out, they'll put Amin Amoura as a number 9 because he has such an impressive burst of pace, and they'll put Amin Gouiri as a left winger. So they did that immediately after the goal for about 5 to 10 minutes. So that was something that a tactical note that I like from Vladimir Petkovic. But yeah, in the 39th minute, I swear to God, I wrote this before Botswana equalized. In the 39th minute, I put dangerous chance for Botswana from a set piece. This is still a problem that hasn't been fixed. 4 minutes later, the 43rd minute, Botswana level from a set piece. And it's the defender Kopelang who scored, I think, 2 goals against Algeria in 2 games against Algeria. So, and it's one of those where it's just like, it's not even bad scheming from Petkovic and from Algeria. It's just they're man-to-man marking, and the defender just falls. He's not strong enough. I don't even know who it was, to be completely honest. I want to say it was, I don't know who it was. One of the Algerian defenders was marking him, just couldn't keep up, falls, and it's practically a tap in from 5 yards out. And it's like, man, like I usually say like defending set pieces is it's like 90% attitude. It's like it's do you want it? I hate to say it like that, but it's about mental aggression oftentimes. Um, More than I think, zonal marking or man marking. Uh, and there it didn't really look like there's any enthusiasm from Algeria to defend set pieces. No organization, no enthusiasm. In the 45th minute, so right before halftime, Mohamed Amin Amoura, again, like speaking of attitudes, attacking the ball in the air, clashes with the goalkeeper. Botswana players come in, defender, goalkeeper, and bottles start flying in from the stance. And that's not good because I'm pretty sure the Algerian Federation will be fined for that. And it's a mark of indiscipline. In the 54th minute, I put a quick note that the Algerian goalkeeper, Alexi Gendouzi, I think he's actually slowly but surely cementing his place as Algeria's starting goalkeeper. His distribution with his feet was really, really good. In the 49th minute, so right after halftime, Rami Ben Sebaini crosses to Amin Amour again. Same thing as in the 33rd minute when they scored the goal. And Ben Sebaini started this match, I should mention, as a left back, not as a center half. And it's nearly an own goal this time around. By the 66th minute, I'm writing there's real stress here. You could feel the tension in the air. And Tizi was, and here, to be fair to Vladimir Petkovic, he gets his substitutions right. He brings out Riyad Mahrez. He brings out Amin Gouiri. He brings out Hussam Awar. So winger, central attacking midfielder, and striker. And he brings on Youssef Belaili from Espresso Tunis, Baghdad Bounedjah, who's playing at Al Shamal in Qatar, and Saeed Ben Rahma, who's playing for Neom in Saudi Arabia. But of course, these are all players that have been in the national team for 10 years now. Can't believe I'm saying that, but they're well known to the African public and to the Algerian public. And you could feel that they were going to make a difference, and they did. Just 6 minutes later, a player that I don't really think is that great, Saeed Ben Rahma, does a great job, credit to him, combining with Amoura, dribble, I think with Boudawi, and then sends Amoura through. Amoura hits a low cross into Baghdad Bounedjah, and Baghdad Bounedjah has a tap-in, similar to Jordan Ayew's tap-in. So 72nd minute, we get a goal, and there's just immediate relief. Baghdad Bounedjah takes his shirt off. He has a yellow card already in the group stages. He takes his shirt off. He's going to be suspended for this next match. Now, I think Algeria is going to qualify anyways, but again, like, somebody from the coaching staff should have briefed him. He said he didn't even know after the game that he had a yellow card. Any case, it's just for me. I'm saying this because it shows you like the relief. Like he takes his shirt off. Like it felt like even though it was only 2-1, we did what we needed to do. I don't think anybody thought Botswana was going to score a second goal in Algeria, and they didn't. The last goal comes in injury time. Belaili bullies the Botswanan defense. They're pressing, and the ball pops out to Baghdad Bounedjah, who scores from a tight angle, 3-1. So what are our lessons from this Algerian victory? Again, Petkovic still hasn't taught his team to defend set pieces. He hasn't fixed the center half pairing, and he still hasn't fixed the midfield. Three main problems that he inherited a year and a half on, 18 months on. He hasn't fixed it. And the quality is good enough to qualify for an AFCON or to qualify for a World Cup, particularly in this extended format. But I would say the general feeling amongst Algeria supporters is just the quality itself, yes, is enough to get us there. But if we don't fix these problems, we're going to have the exact same results that we've had the last 3 times around, which is premature exit, whether it's the group stages or let's say the round of 16, and or a group stage exit at the World Cup. We need to fix these problems. We need to become a solid team, particularly defensively, if we're going to go far in these tournaments. The second lesson, Mohamed Amin Amoura is a bona fide star, not just in Algerian football, not just in African football. He's slowly but surely becoming a very, very good player in world football. Again, 10 goal contributions alongside Jordan Ayew, Mohamed Salah, the most in FIFA World Cup qualifiers. He's a player that, if you don't know, playing at Wolfsburg at the moment, was very much linked with, I think, a 30 or 35 million euro move to Benfica in the summer that didn't come off. But his first season in the Bundesliga last year, I think he had, I want to say, between 10 and 15 goals. I think 10 goals in the league. But at Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium the year before that, he had something crazy like 25 goals in 26 games or something like that. The matches played and goals scored was neck and neck. And after Mohamed Amin Amoura, Hicham Boudawi is the second best player for Algeria. And I think it's not close. Amoura is clearly number 1, but Boudawi is also making a move as the boss of the midfield, the Nice midfielder. Plays at Nice and He's been in the Algerian national team since 2019. He was part of that 2019 AFCON winning side, but he's slowly but surely maturing and developing to the player that we thought he could. But all these other players like Riyad Mahrez, like Haysam Mandi, like Yusuf Hattal, like it just feels like the generation that's aging, that isn't performing as well as they used to, and it feels like supporters are kind of have kind of had enough, and I don't think they're good enough or fresh enough to get us a good result, in these major tournaments. Last lesson from Algeria, Pekovic in the post-match press conference said, I don't like, no, he didn't say I don't understand the criticism, but he said, look, we have the best attack in qualifiers. And they do. They have 19 goals in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. That's tied with Morocco. To be fair, Algeria traveled more than Morocco, but Morocco also only played one less match. Morocco, I think, only played 6 matches. Algeria played 7 matches. They both have 19 goals apiece. You could say that they're pretty much the two best attacks in the World Cup qualifiers. That's true. But you've also conceded 7 goals in 7 games. And that's by far, of any other group leader, the worst defense. Some teams like Cote d'Ivoire and Tunisia haven't conceded a single goal in these World Cup qualifiers. You've conceded 7. Um, Against the likes of Botswana at home, all due respect. Somalia, we conceded a goal against. So there's Pekovic, when he came in from, I remember speaking to a fan of Bordeaux, and I was saying, what can we expect from Pekovic? And he said, you're going to score goals, but you're going to concede goals. And that's exactly what's been happening. And that's fine if you're looking to be entertained, but that's not necessarily a winning formula in tournament play. And that's what scares me about Pekovic. Anyways, Mali versus Comoros. Mali beat Comoros 3-0 in Berkane in Morocco. Mali were the home side. This was a little bit of a shock result for me. I wasn't expecting them to win 3-0. I was expecting them to win, but not 3-0. Even though they played in Morocco, they felt like they were at home. Like they expected to win, like they expected to dominate Comoros, and they did. And Comoros are a side that usually can hang with even top nations in terms of possession. I saw them go up against Tunisia, and it'd be like, I think it was like 55-45 in terms of possession play. In this match, Mali, they barely let Comoros sniff a goal. They were all over them from the very beginning. One of the things that I would say, we're looking at the lineup for a team that struggles with continuity. Mali, I'm speaking about Mali. This AFCON, this guy could be the best player for them. The next AFCON, it's going to be this player. They struggle with continuity at the coaching level, at the player level, so on and so forth. That's one of their biggest problems, in my opinion. It's good to see the wingers. Neni Dorjelis, number 7 on the right wing, left-footed right winger. Kamori Doumbia, right-footed left winger, number 19 on the other side. They've emerged as this team's winger. They've solidified themselves as that since the last AFCON. So that's really, really good to see, and they're both very talented. They're the only 2 players from Mali that played all 6 matches. So Kamori Doumbia and Neni Dorjelis we can say that they're Mali's wingers, and they're going to be Mali's wingers going into the AFCON, particularly because they've been very good as well. Doumbia has 5 goals of Mali's 8 going into this match. He scored 5 of their 8 goals. And even with Brest this year at the beginning of the French league, I think he has 2 goals in 3 games. He's very, very under the radar, but he's one of Africa's best young talents particularly in terms of fundamentals. Always makes good decisions, always scores goals when he needs to. They didn't have Ibissouma Mali, they didn't have Amadou Haidara in midfield because of injuries and lack of fitness. And El Bilal Touré, their striker, was securing a loan to Besiktas, so he didn't play in this match as well. So I was watching this match, and I was very impressed by Mali, as I mentioned. In the 27th minute, a moment of quick thinking. It's a throw-in, and it's a moment of quick thinking from the midfielder, Mamadou Sangare. He throws it into Mustafa Sangare, who's boxing. In basketball, we say boxing out when you use your arms like this and you're holding the defender behind you, like the Lukaku, and he's on like the 6-yard box. And because Comoros were sleeping, he's boxing them out, turns quickly, and plays in the low cross that Nene Dirjala scores, the winger that we're talking about, 1-0. 33rd minute, I put complete and total Mali in control. In the 43rd minute, Kamori Doumbia is on a counterattack. He's played in, hits the post. So they could have been up 2-0 before half. Okay, how are Comoros going to react? They didn't really react. They were just trying to press, and then when they would get when they were forcing Mali backwards, as soon as the ball gets to Jiggy Diarra, they would stop their pressing because he's so good. It's proof of his technical ability. He's so good playing with the ball at his feet, the Yanga goalkeeper. In the 66th minute, one thing that I really liked is Doumbia and Dergelis, the 2 wingers. they have freedom to roam as well. Simone Adingra does this with Cote d'Ivoire. We mentioned Kudus as well. So they oftentimes will go to the same side of the pitch to combine because that's where Mali get a lot of their technical quality. So in the 66th minute, I noticed that tactical trend, and I like that as well. In the 67th minute, the match is turned on its head, and Mali drive the final stake into the coffin when they bring in Lassine Sinayoko. Lassine Sinayoko, I remember, was a player that was brought in by former Malian international Fousseni Diawara, who at the time, I think, I forget if he was assistant coach or technical director for the national team um, under Eric Schell. I remember him talking about, it was a Twitter space, I think it was COVID time, and he was talking about this guy, Lassine Sinayoko, as if it was like, like we got this great striker, and I'm thinking about who is this guy? He's playing in second division at the time, I think, at Auxerre or something like that. He's playing in, or if he was in the first division of French football, it was bottom of the table. And slowly, but year after year after year, Lassine Sinayoko has improved incredibly. And this year, he started off very hot in the French League One again. And here, like, he completely changed. I don't understand why he didn't start the match instead of Mustafa Sangare. He wins a penalty. He's found by the left. He makes a run in behind the defenders, and that's his main strength as a striker, is that he moves a lot. Like, I think I've been watching Ekitike a little bit, and even though he's tall and he's strong and he's fast, he tends to move, and sometimes you want your number 9 to sort of, stay, occupy his zone, and sometimes you want them to move around, and Sinayoko does a really good job of moving. So he gets in behind the defense, the ball's played by the left back, Amadou Dante, he wins a penalty, and Kamori Doumbia gets his 6th goal of Mali's 10 in these qualifiers. He scores the penalty. 2-0, deserved lead. And then 10 minutes later, Sinayoko again. He makes it was really very, very good movement. If you want to watch, if you can find the highlights, watch the third goal for Mali and watch his movement. He starts from deep in midfield, and he makes the run in behind. He gets played in, and he puts in a low cross to Lassana Koulibaly. So he facilitates, wins a penalty for the second goal, and gets an assist for the third goal, 3-0. So what are the lessons from this match? Surprised by the Malian domination a little bit. Again, Comoros usually battle for possession a little bit better. Is that the sign of strength from Mali? Is it an off day for Comoros? I don't know. We'll see. Tom Saintfiet, we're not talking about him, the Mali coach, former Gambia coach, fellow African because he has Gambian citizenship. Now, official matches under Tom Saintfiet since he was appointed to the coach of Mali. 9 games played, 6 victories, 3 draws, 0 losses, 16 goals for, 1 goal against. And he does such a good job. When he was criticized a little bit for, with the Gambia, sort of being a little bit of a defensive-minded coach. When you join a team, and the team is a sinking ship, not to say Mali was in a catastrophic situation, but they weren't really in a great place. The first thing you do when you board a sinking ship is you plug the damn holes. Don't concede goals. Fix your defense. And he did that. If you go look at his immediate results initially, it was 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 2-1, right? And then once you fix your defense, then you can build it out. And Vahid Halil, I remember, did this with Algeria when he came prior to the 2014 World Cup. Like, get your fundamentals right. Start by not conceding, and then you could worry about scoring goals. Again, thinking about Vladimir Pekovic and Algeria. So Saintfiet did a great job, and now it looks like his team is firing on all cylinders. So maybe the worst result for Ghana, because now we get a hyper-motivated Mali that are going to be traveling to Ghana, and they still have a chance to make it to this World Cup, man. And Mali is one of those teams that I always wanted to see at the World Cup. I felt like they're one of the more underrated African teams from a world perspective. We need to pick it up because we're already 3 minutes in. Tunisia 3, Liberia 0. Now, I looked at the starting lineup, and I'm like, Sami Trabelsi, the new coach for Tunisia, still not 100% convinced with his choices. Played Amor Layouni, 32-year-old player, as a right winger. Nobody asked for that. He's not really great. To be fair, injuries kept out Ali Abdi. But I don't know why, for example, Elias Saad didn't start instead of Amor Layouni. Even Naim Sliti. And Tunisia, this time they score early, 4 minutes in, pressing from Hannibal Mejbri, who was great on the day, maybe man of the match. And it's a mistake, a back pass from Mark Pabai from Liberia. The striker, Hazem Mastori for Tunisia, has a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and he lobs him 1-0 after 4 minutes. Thank you for the gift, Liberia, for Tunisian. And Hazem Mastori, by the way, I should mention, he's a player playing for Dynamo Mahashkala in Russia. Uh, Tunisia, they jumped from number 9 to number 9. This goes back to, as far as, from when I started covering African football, Ahmed Akasha, Taha Yassin Khanisi, blah, 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 blah. They haven't really found like a true class number 9. Hazem Musturi seems better than a lot of the recent experiments, but I'm still not sure he's the solution yet. But good for him to get a goal here. In the 23rd minute, he's also the danger man. Cross comes from Yan Valerie, the right back. Mastori gets a header, but it's tipped over. Could he be the solution? I don't know, but I think he's the favorite right now going into the AFCON. In the 34th minute, Hannibal Mejbri, I notice, is taking corners and set pieces, and he's taking them well. But by the end of the first half, I'm kind of, as well as Tunisia started, I thought they sort of lost something by the end of the first half. Lots of circular passing from midfield players and wingers. The left wing was a little more dynamic than the right wing, but nobody was really creating any chances. And you're thinking to yourself, is this another one of those Tunisia matches where even in this group, against the likes of Malawi, against the likes of Namibia, against the likes of the Gambia, they've struggled to score goals at times. And think to yourself, man, like, even though they haven't conceded a single goal, and they don't concede a goal in this match, you think to yourself, something's missing here. They're not going to be able to go far like this, right? In the 46th minute, they have Guild edged opportunity from Mohamed Ali bin Ramadan. He blasted over the bar from 6 yards out, completely inexcusable. Hannibal Mejbri, the central midfielder, plays a through ball into Murtada bin Wannas, the left back, puts the cross in, and bin Ramadan again is like, he's at the 6-yard box, and he somehow finds a way to blast it over the bar. The Al Ahli midfielder. In the 62nd minute, we have the introduction of Naim Sliti as a right winger for Ammar Al-Ayuni and Ismail Gharbi for Mohamed Ali bin Ramadan. Ismail Gharbi changes things for Tunisia. Remember the name. Even if you don't care about Tunisia or something, Ismail Gharbi is a player that was one of the biggest talents in PSG's academy over the last 10 years. He's short. That's his main problem. But technically, man, he's really, really good. And one of the things that he's really good at doing is progressing the ball up the pitch, playing one touch. And they talk a lot about his scanning, just a very intelligent attacking midfielder that was playing as an 8 over here. And now you have, in the 62nd minute, the midfield 3 for Tunisia is Ferjani Sassi, the iconic Tunisian midfielder, as a defensive midfielder. And then the 2 8s were Hannibal Mejbri, Burnley, Premier League, Ismail Gharbi, currently at, where is he right now? Is he still at Braga? I think he was moved. He was at Braga, I'm not sure. But these 2 players are 2 French Tunisians, huge talents when they were younger. Hannibal Mejbri at Monaco and then Manchester United, Ismail Gharbi at PSG. They have, like technical ability. They have a footballing education that you don't really see other Tunisian central midfielders have. Even though Tunisia has created some very formed some very good central midfielders like Ferjani Sassi, like Mohamed Ali bin Ramadan. But the thing that I like the most about technical ability, yes, but the reading of the game, you could see that there was a difference there. And the other thing is crazy about them is that they're both 21 years old. Hannibal Mejbri has been playing with Tunisia since 2021, so he has 34 caps at 22 years old, but this was the debut for Ismail Gharbi. But the cool thing that was about seeing them together is that they've been playing together since the under 12 age, since they were 12 years old at Paris FC. And so now they're, playing for the Tunisian national team. Must be really cool. And you could see that they're friends. And, when you like each other, I think you tend to win more matches, and vice versa. When you win more matches, you tend to like each other a little bit more. So Gharbi comes on in the 62nd minute, and Tunisia look completely different. 3 minutes later, they score. It's a Hannibal Mejbri set piece again. As I mentioned earlier, he's taken them very well. Looping high cross met in the air by Ferjani Sassi, 2-0. Hannibal set pieces are again dangerous in the 88th minute, plays a cutback on the ground to Naim Sliti, who shoots over the bar. And then the punctuation mark comes in the 93rd minute. Elias Saad, a wonderful free kick. The best free kick of the round, if I haven't seen every single match, but I'm assuming it is, from 25 yards out, and he hits it beautifully. And Elias Saad is a player that I think many Tunisian players are looking forward to seeing more from as on the wing. So what are the lessons from this match? Another clean sheet for Tunisia. 4 clean sheets in 5 matches for Sami Trabelsi. In official matches or qualifying, obviously they haven't conceded at all. So he credits. They asked him, like, what do you credit that to? And he says the whole entire team is defending. And that's true. Like when you see teams that defend well, usually it's all 11 players that are defending. And he also says we've been pressing higher up the pitch. We've been winning the ball away from our own end. And I want to do even more of that, he was saying. So they want to even move that up even more. So that was pretty interesting to hear Sami Trabelsi say. Another lesson, great debut for Ismail Gharbi. Again, when I see him, when I see Elias Saad, when I see Sebastian Tunekti, possibly Haysam Hassan, I'm starting to think, man, like the individual players in Tunisia, the quality has increased. They're finally starting to tap into that diaspora. I'm starting to, for the first time in 5 or 6 years, I'm starting to become more optimistic about Tunisia than I was, in the past. And finally, my last one is Hannibal is slowly becoming the technical leader of this team from Burnley. He's beginning to become the player that we hoped he would. Very quick notes on South Sudan versus DR Congo. I think the match finished 5-0 or something like that. But I watched only the first half. I forgot that this is a derby and that South Sudan and DR Congo share a border. Goal in the 13th minute, goal in the 33rd minute, and goal in the 47th minute. Bakambu was really, really good, particularly when they started counterattacking. And Buku had a brilliant third goal. I didn't watch the fourth and the fifth goal. But the main lessons from watching this match is South Sudan rapport. They're rapidly improving, but they're not there yet. And when I watch South Sudan, when I watch Chad, when I watch Liberia, what you notice about these minnows often is that they beat themselves. Like think about if go watch the first goal from DRC versus South Sudan and watch the marking on Cedric Bakambu. Again, completely left open, like Jordan Ayew was against Chad, like Baghdad Bounedjah was against Botswana, like Liberia's gifting Tunisia a goal in the first 4 minutes. These smaller teams, usually they beat themselves. That's one of the main characteristics, really. South Sudan also completely failed to defend a short corner for the second goal. DRC with this victory have positioned themselves perfectly for the Senegal match. They also increased their goal differential, which was really good for them as well. And also Chancel Mbemba, that was one of my notes pre-match. He seems to be back, but I want to see him perform this well against top opposition. Now they host Senegal in the most important match in this group. The winner of this match, if there is a winner, is going to be in pole position to qualify for the World Cup. Lesotho versus South Africa. Lesotho 0, South Africa 3. Man, this is a really long episode. I was a little bit skeptical on this coming into this match because South Africa, again, they come within a very experienced squad. I think I counted, I think it was 120 total caps for all 26 players. And Lesotho, they don't concede a lot of goals. They don't score a lot, but they don't concede a lot either. So I thought this could be a little bit of a tricky match. What I know, my first observation for the first 15 minutes was that this was an extremely physical match. Lesotho, I think, had a game plan to come out and sort of fight South Africa. And I remember Botswana doing this against Algeria when Adil Amrouche was the coach and admitting that this was a strategy of theirs. I know Tom Saintfiet did this with the Gambia as well. Sometimes if you're a team that can't match a team tactically or technically, you think maybe you can match them physically. And so in the second minute, the right back Mobi has a head collision, concussion, I think, and he's ruled out. And then in the first 7 minutes, you have tough challenges on Mobi, as I mentioned, Mbata and Mokoena. So it was one of those where I think to myself, okay, nobody get injured, please. If you're South Africa. In the 12th minute, Lyle Foster, who I thought had a good match, was played in by Asmanapolis, who also had a good match. He has a heavy touch. I thought he maybe should have. He was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. I thought he maybe should have chipped it because the goalkeeper was rushing out, but he tries to, I think, play the ball around him. Easy to say in hindsight, but it was a little bit of a heavy touch. And the 15th minute, South Africa score. And it's Sipho Mbule who starts the match as like a number 10 role behind the double pit of Mokoena and Mbata. And he did a great job throughout the entire first half of finding the space between the lines. And South Africa does this very well in general. Mamelodi sometimes it was very well, but South Africa too. I went back and I watched some of the highlights from the last AFCON. Whether it's Percy Tau or Themba Zwane, they do such a good job of, finding the space between, the midfield line and the defending line for the opposition. This time it was Mbule that does that. Once he receives the ball, immediately plays the ball quickly to Apolis, who plays the ball to Foster, who plays the ball to Modiba, who puts in he's tackled, could be a penalty, but he puts in a long cross before that, and Mohamed Kota on the full volley, slots the ball in. Beautiful goal. tiki-taka. And I felt like double pivot with Mbata, Mokoena, and Mbule as a 10 was working wonders. And it also feels like Mohamed Kota leveled up a little bit. Let me check his stats with in Saudi Arabia really quickly. Should have done this prior to the... Okay, he's only played one match. Oh, wait. Okay, he's only played the one match and he scored the goal. And with South Africa now, he's played the one match and he scored the goal as well. But it feels like he's leveled up, particularly with his finishing. He's always scored important goals in the Champions League last year, of course. We can think about CR Belouizdad, we can think about MC of Algiers. But it feels like he's scoring more. Now, maybe this is just an impression I have and this is wrong, but I think he's leveled up a little bit. And I do wonder if he can become the player opposite. I'm assuming who's going to be... You have a lot of options on the wings. You have Apollos now. You have Mofokeng. You have Nkota. Is Elias Mokoena ever going to return? Maybe. Percy Tau. So I'm really curious to see who's gonna be the wingers for South Africa over the next few months. But there's so many options. In the 19th minute, South Africa worked the ball well again. This time it's Nkota who puts in a looping cross to Modiba, but he has a full volley that's blocked. Modiba, I thought, was doing a very good job of staying wide. And Apollos was sort of using the half space, using the inside lane when he does that. And what I liked about Modiba staying wide and Apollos using it is that Modiba would go up too. He would be in advanced positions. And so you had this huge space between Modiba and Mbukazi. But it was fine because you could tell that the coach and the players had complete trust in Mbukazi. And Modiba does as well. And I thought he was really good again. He wasn't really tested because of Mbukazi, but man, like, I haven't talked about him enough, I feel like. He's such a good defender. And the few occasions where Lesotho did try to counterattack in that space, he had absolutely no difficulty covering. South Africa are lucky to have a defender like him. I would kill to have a defender like him in Algeria, particularly if he was a right center half. In the last minute of the half, Lesotho, their only opportunity really, there's a diagonal that goes over the substitute Moloi Sane. And I don't know who hit the volley. It was like a long diagonal and then a volley. It was very impressive, actually. I don't know who hit it, but it just went slightly over the bar. I think it would have beat Ronwen Williams, but that was Lesotho's only opportunity of the half. And then in the second half, in the 60th minute, a goal kills off the match. It's a counterattack. Foster plays in Nkota. The cutback is all wrong, but Modiba gets off a powerful shot that there's a rebound. The goalkeeper sort of parries it right in front of Lyle Foster, who buries the rebound. Again, Lyle Foster I thought had a good game for a center forward, but it's one of those where the goalkeeper did horribly. But the build-up play is what was impressive. And particularly for the third goal, because in the third goal, you almost feel like South Africa are inviting the press. You know, that they start building up from their own box. It's Ronwen Williams, it's the goalkeepers, it's Mbata, it's Mbule, and they surgically take apart Lesotho. They invite the press, and Foster plays in this time Osman Apollos, who finishes, and I think he deserved the goal as well. So 3-0. What are the lessons here? The lessons, as I mentioned, South African depth is real in all sectors of the pitch. They not only have the quality, but they also, the substitute players or this extended squad also has a tactical acumen. Again, how Mbule was finding spaces between the lines. It's one thing if you're starting 11 players have good quality. South Africa, they have quality, I think, across the 26. But then it's another thing if you expect your starting players to have the tactical acumen, but if your entire squad has a tactical acumen, Hugo Bruce must be feeling really good, really good about his squad. And then the second note was the note about Nkota's goal scorer, which I already mentioned. So great result for South Africa. And now, and 3-0 is not nothing against Lesotho, who, again, they don't concede a lot of goals. I think they've conceded, coming into this match, they had conceded, I think, 6 goals in 6 matches or 7 goals in 6 matches. So I think this is by far the match they conceded the most in. And now the most important match is South Africa versus Nigeria. Senegal versus Sudan. This was a match that I watched. Senegal win this match 2-0. It was a very subdued atmosphere in the Diamniadio Stadium. No real urgency from the supporters. And I thought to myself, are they taking Sudan lightly? I think they were, but it was fine. Like they didn't really struggle. I think the one main thing that struck you from the minute 1 of this match until the end is that there's a clear gulf in quality between Senegal and Sudan. And I think this is something that even Sudanese supporters will admit. What Sudan has accomplished has been heroic, But when they stand toe to toe with an African giant, particularly away from home, I think they don't have it yet. I think in particular in the attacking areas of the pitch, like the Asa brothers or uh, some of their attacking midfield options. In my opinion, not there yet. Um, that said, we spoke, prior to the match about the three key absences for Sudan. I think those three key absences really hurt. It's the goalkeeper, Mustafa Mohamed, that was so important against Senegal in the first match. He was like standing on his head. Then you had the right back, Ramdan Ajib, who, would have been a great matchup against Sadio Mane. He's also the captain, Ramdan Ajib. And then the striker, Mohamed Abdurrahman, who, could bring a little bit of quality and calm in attack. But the goalkeeper, I think, is the one that hurt the most, because the first goal from Sudan comes from in the 11th minute. I wrote Abuja drops a corner and Kalidou Koulibaly tries to do a scissor kick. It goes over the bar. I think it's about Abuja, who had a great African Nations Championship. He's the goalkeeper for Sudan. He's the replacement here for Mustafa Mohamed, Sudan's best goalkeeper. That's a little bit problematic. And 2 minutes later, Crepin Diatta has a free kick, and Koulibaly and Abuja come out at the same time, and the ball sort of, I think it's Abuja that hits the ball first, goes off on Koulibaly and goes in. Only the second goal of Kalidou Koulibaly's Senegal career. I think the first one was at the World Cup, so that was a little bit surprising. And then Senegal they never got out of second gear. And in the 40th minute, they score a second goal, and it's another. Kalidou Koulibaly was the man of the match. He plays a world-class long ball into Pape Matar Sarr, who's making a run in from midfield. And Pape Matar Sarr takes the goal like a striker. I mean, like, beautiful control, contrôle orienté, as they say in French. So, like, directional control, takes the ball in and finishes with his left foot. So, without getting out of second gear, they're up 2-0, Senegal. And Kalidou Koulibaly was playing those balls, and Edouard Mendy as well, playing those balls in throughout the entire match. His distribution, it was the best I've ever seen from him in a Senegalese shirt. So the lessons really, as I mentioned, are the gap in quality, that the injuries really, really hurt Sudan, in my opinion. And that, you know what? Senegal, I think, are more dangerous when they're playing direct football. They were dangerous when they're set pieces and when they were playing direct long balls than when they try to play, like possession, tiki-taka sort of. And then finally, that some of these Senegalese veterans that we sort of wrote off because maybe they're playing in the Gulf or maybe because they're very old, their demise has been exaggerated. Like Edouard Mendy in goal had a good game. Kalidou Koulibaly was man of the match. Idrissa Gana Gueye didn't play in this match, but he's somebody that, has had a revival over the last 2-3 years, has been really, really good. The one player this is a little bit controversial, but the one player that probably needs to retire and his demise hasn't been exaggerated is Sadio Mane. He needs to sit his butt down. He was really disappointing today, and I think many people don't believe he should be starting, particularly when you have the quality of Iliman Ndiaye and Nicholas Jackson in attack. Those two should probably be the ones starting. One of two important matches for Pape Thiaw in this international window. The next one is the most important. He has to go to DRC and beat Congo in Kinshasa, something that's extremely difficult. The last match we'll talk about, we still have 3 matches to talk about. My God, and it's going to be so long. Okay, I'm going to try to run through these really quickly. Morocco 5-0 against Niger. Morocco are inaugurating the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Rabat, where I think the opening match and the final is going to be for the AFCON. It's going to be World Cup Stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. They brought in 550 journalists, influencers, content creators, and photographers for this match. So you've seen people like, any kind of YouTuber, influencer, they sort of were invited to Morocco. Probably, I'm assuming everything was paid for in terms of flight and accommodation, and everybody's creating content. So there was like a really good, really interesting atmosphere, like a party atmosphere. That's what I would say, because a win here would guarantee 4 straight World Cup appearances from Morocco: 2018, 2022, 2026 with the win here, and then 2030, of course, they're hosting. So, and it really is going to cement Morocco as the powerhouse that they want to be. Pre-game, there was a tifo. Please, no more national team tifos. Please, I'm begging Moroccans. Algeria does it too sometimes. No national team tifos, please, okay? No more. Regragui goes back to his 4-1-4-1. Coming into this match, there's questions about who's the second center half going to be next to Nave Agret, who's going to be the combination in central midfield, and who's going to be your striker. They decided to play Adam Messina as a center half, and he actually played very, very well. But as you're going to see, Morocco were never really troubled in this match because in the 26th minute, a Niger player is sent off. I think it was a little bit harsh. 2 yellow card offenses, but the first one I think was a little bit soft. And If he has one, usually the referee, will give the second one. It was, don't get me wrong, it warranted a yellow card, but usually the referee, it wasn't like you have to give him a yellow card here. Like the referee could have, I think, been a little more lenient and kind of killed the game, to be honest. 2 minutes later, Morocco score, and Belamari, the left back, Belamari, from Raja Casablanca, who was the captain, I think, at the Chan, one of Morocco's best players at the Chan, puts in a low cross met by Ismail Seybari, and Ismail Seybari finishes from close range. 10 minutes later, it's the exact same thing. What you start to realize very quickly is that because Niger are cut down to 10 men, they can't defend a width. And so Morocco, they do a great job of utilizing width. They've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years. This time, it starts from Amrabat again. Amrabat played the ball to Belamari again. This time, Amrabat sends the ball to, I think, Leinawi, who sends the ball to Hakimi, who cuts the ball short to Saibari. Saibari has a second goal of the game in 38 minutes. One of the tactical trends I noticed very quickly is that when Morocco was playing with Hakim Ziyech on the right wing, Hakim Ziyech would often hug the touchline, and Ashraf Hakimi would, instead of overlapping, he would underlap. And he did that very well with PSG. He did that. It's, I think, one of his main strengths as a fullback. Nowadays, Brahim Diaz was playing on the right wing. Brahim Diaz doesn't get as wide as Hakim Ziyech used to. He's more in the half spaces. And so Ashraf Hakimi is finding himself overlapping a little bit more than I've seen in the past. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, it's just something that we observed. In the 52nd minute, again, lots of time on the ball, Morocco, because these are defending with 10. And it's just great combination play. Leinawi to Kaabi to Ben Sghair to Belamari to El Kaabi. So Belamari had 2 assists. I mean, what a performance for him, the Raja Casablanca defender. I'm not going to go through all of the goals really, because I'm really pressed for time here. But what I would say is that there was Morocco developed it tactically, not necessarily from this match, but bringing in that player Nail El Ainawi from Roma. They finally have the player that replaced Salim Amelah. Because if you go back to the 2022 World Cup, the midfield three was Soufiane Amrabat sitting as number 6, Azdin Ounahi as number 8, and then Salim Amelah was last one. Salim Amelah was one of those players that was always frustrating because if you don't, and he's a coach's player. He'll be in the right places at the right times. He'll make some like okay basic passes. He'll contest aerial duels. But if you're a typical fan, you realize he doesn't do anything exceptional. He doesn't really get your juices flowing. He doesn't excite you. And I think Morocco have been looking for a replacement for him since the World Cup, really, definitely since the AFCON. Because he performed the role okay, but he doesn't have the quality that the rest of the team does. And I think with them bringing in Nail Ainawi is just an upgrade on that same kind of player. And all of a sudden, they finally have their midfield, I think. They have Amrabat, they have Ounahi, and they have the Ainawi. And if you don't want to use Ounahi, you can use Seybari, because he does such a great job of getting into the box and finishing and scoring goals, and such a good technical player as well. On the wings, they have an incredible amount of players. I don't love Ayoub El Kaabi as a 9, but Hamza Igmen came on as a sub and scored a goal. So honestly, Morocco, I think, are pretty much set for the AFCON. They have 2-3 more months to experiment. I just want to see who's going to cement themselves as a number 9 and who's going to be the second center back next to Naif Agred. I'm still not 100% sure I love Eden Messina. Morocco, this was their 13th consecutive victory. That's an African record. The coach mentioned in the post-match press conference, the world record is 15, and he has his eye on that. I put Regragui is returning to his old habits, tactically speaking, 4-1-4-1, after he tested a few different systems, but he has better players now and more depth. I don't think they're going to be stale, really. I still worry a little bit about the lack of adversity that Morocco have faced in the last few years. And I do wonder, when they do hit that adversity, what's it going to look like? But that's something that we're going to see, I think, once we get to the AFCON. Okay, I really have to go quickly now, so excuse this. But Ivory Coast versus Burundi. Ivory Coast, like Tunisia, only team yet to concede. Cote d'Ivoire, I think, looked good everywhere when you look at their starting lineup, except for the striker here. They didn't start Sébastien Haller. They started a guy named Vakun Bayo, but he wasn't really great. What I really liked from Cote d'Ivoire was Simon Adingra on the left wing, Amad Diallo on the right wing. The midfield three was the exact same as the AFCON, Seko Fofana, Ibrahim Sangare, and Frank Kessié. The goal came early in the 3rd minute, and it was good interplay from Ahmad and Adingra. Adingra floats in across to Bayo, who scores. Adingra is one of those players, such a good player with the national team, with his clubs a little less. Other than that, like what's their names? Like Senegal. Ivory Coast never really got out of second gear in this match. You could tell they knew that Burundi were never going to score and that they were going to win this match, and they didn't really have to try at all. There were a few nice things that I saw. Evan Ndika had a really good game at center half, even with the distribution, perfect long diagonal. Um, Ahmad Diallo, I thought, looked really good on the right wing. But Ahmad and Adingra, the only thing that worried me a little bit about them is they haven't really scored a lot of goals. They're not goal scorers. You can have wingers, two wingers that are good ball players, but Adingra has 3 goals in 22 matches, and Ahmad Diallo has 1 goal in 6 matches for Cote d'Ivoire. And so I do wonder if you're going to start both of those players, do the Ivory Coast have enough firepower to score goals? And this is one of the things, I think, one of the main criticisms that's they're stumbling upon as Emers Faye has solidified himself as the coach of this team is they're obviously not conceding, which is great, but they're not really scoring enough either. And so I think they're maybe going to have to start playing with maybe go back to Omar Diakite, maybe go to Nicolas Pepe or somebody that's more of a goal scorer, even though I think Adingra and Amad Diallo are the best players as wingers. Yeah. Last thing, yeah. If you still want to stay with those two players, you want to have those two players on the pitch at all times, maybe switch formations. Leave the 4-3 in the past and maybe go to a 3-5-2. All right, Egypt, we have, I think, 5 minutes to go through Egypt and Ethiopia. Has Hussam Hassan doing the exact same thing. He had one more defender than last time, but he's playing with like 5 defensive-minded players and then 5 very attacking-minded players. When Egypt throw on the ball, they really throw everyone forward. It's such an interesting thing to see. Just a shame that Cairo International Stadium still isn't being filled up. I'm not sure it would have been full even because this was kind of like a low-stakes game. Everybody knows that Egypt's going to the World Cup. The main thing I would say in this match, the goal comes from, in the 38th minute, entry pass from Marmoush to Trezeguet. Trezeguet picks up a cheap penalty. Ethiopian defender was stupid for giving it away. Mohamed Salah scores. And then the second one in the 46th minute, this comes to counter pressing or pressing. Trezeguet pips the ball away. Marmoush Salah lay the ball off. Marmoush plays the ball to Salah, who lays the ball off to Zizou, who shoots the ball on net, clear hand ball. And this time they let Omar Marmoush take the ball and score for confidence. The main points I would want to make really about the Egypt is I love Hussam Hassan's tactical bravery to throw on as many attacking players as he can. Be brave when you can afford to be. Too many teams aren't. And the fact that he throws on all these attacking players, he forces them to defend, and they all do defend, and I think it works out because of that. But I do wonder when they play against better teams, is he going to be as brave? The other thing I would say is that Trezeguet, throughout these World Cup qualifiers, has been the best Egyptian player alongside Mohamed Salah. Salah has 10 goal contributions, 7 goals, 3 assists, leading the continent. Incredible player. Trezeguet has been just as good for them, scoring crucial goals, and he was at the origin of both of the goals this time around as well. He was playing between like a left winger and a number 8 in this match. He had a little bit of freedom, but he's been stepping up. It hasn't been up. You'd think it'd be Omar Marmoush, but in his position, Trezeguet has been stepping up. And so Marmoush, it was good for him to get on the score sheet to increase his confidence, but Trezeguet, Salah are the players that have been best for Egypt throughout these qualifiers. Ibrahim Adil, I don't know. He looked, I think, quite worrying. I want to see if he's going to be, because remember, he makes the move instead of going to Europe. I think he goes to Kuwait or something like that, or the Emirates, and he didn't look good in the second half. I just hope that he's going to be able to improve over there in the Middle East and not just totally drop off. Other than that, yeah, not much to say about Egypt. I think this was like a fairly routine victory. This is, I think, the longest episode I've ever done, an hour. So I need to hop off right now. Sorry I couldn't do Nigeria versus Rwanda. I didn't want to wait until tomorrow to record this, but I'll try to touch on it in tomorrow's episode where I preview the upcoming matches. Thanks all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the matches, and speak soon. Peace.